What was it about Hanna-Barbera having some fascination with the Flintstones and monsters? I'll get into this in more detail in the second TV trash of this month, but when HB decided to revive the franchise in the late 1970s, they seemed to really think that adding prehistoric versions of classic movie monsters was needed to regain interest in the modern Stone Age family. This was really prevalent in the first new full series to focus primarily on the original cast, the new Fred and Barney show, which had numerous episodes featuring the main characters facing witches, werewolves, and other horror creatures, which I'll explain more of in that TV trash. But there were also numerous made-for-primetime specials that came out by the early 80s to feature these creatures. And in fact, you saw a glimpse of them back when I reviewed Wind Up Wilma in April. And that's what I'm going to be showing you all this month. So let's get started with the first of those specials that came out in 1980, The Flintstones' New Neighbors. Our story begins, as it seems all these Flintstones specials do, with Fred and Barney coming home from work and Fred bragging about how Wilma will just let him do whatever he wants to do. Please don't turn this into another wind-up Wilma. Though I will point out how these shows seem to alternate between Fred and Barney driving. So nice how the Stone Age did believe in carpooling. At any rate, they get backed up by the biggest RV ever made.
Somebody's moving a house.
Gee, where do you suppose they're moving it to? The city dump?
Could be. Oh, I never saw such a spooky-looking house. Wow, did you see that?
How'd you like to have that next door to you?
There goes the neighborhood.
Once Fred gets home, everyone shows up there to discover some bad news. That huge, creepy house is now next door to the Flintstones.
That looks like the creepy house you were telling me about.
They must have bought the lot next door.
So apparently the lots in the Flintstones neighborhood can just act as an RV park. It must be nice that back in Stone Age times, zoning laws and cranky homeowners associations didn't exist. Well, it looks like some think there should be, because now Fred is ranting and raving about undesirables and how they will bring down the property values in the neighborhood. Oh, great. So now the Flintstones has stopped being the honeymooners and turned into All in the Family. But because Wilma has to be Miss Hospitable Neighbor, she drags Fred with her to meet the new ones.
Oblivia, my dear, our neighbors have come to call.
Oh, how delightful. I'm making curtains for the window.
So, yeah, it's basically the prehistoric monsters. So before anyone else comments on this, I must point out that this is the second incarnation of the Frankenstones, or at least the Frankenstones family, for Hanna-Barbera to create. The first version was on one episode of the aforementioned Fred and Barney show, which, as I said, I'll be reviewing on TV Trash very soon. This new batch, though, has no connection at all to the previous. And there is a good explanation as to why they just up and rebooted the modern Stone Age horror family. And that explanation is, look at the kitty! Look at the kitty! So Fred continues to be less than subtle that he's not too thrilled about the Frankenstones' presence. But you would think someone like Fred, who considers himself the embodiment of masculinity, would be impressed by someone who could hunt down a saber-toothed tiger and use his whole skin for a chair.
What's that?
Oh, it's our daughter, playing her favorite album.
Enjoy meeting her now, because we will be sending her off to school next year. I hear the school hired this very charming human and his dog as teachers.
Is there a good orthodontist in Bedrock?
Why, yes.
We've got to do something about hideous teeth. They're so straight and even.
Oh, Mother, why must you talk about it in front of strangers?
Oh yeah, this is definitely the prehistoric monsters. So it takes the first 10 minutes of this show to introduce all these new characters, and it's really not hard to see what's going on here. Yes, the Flintstones were doing this crap long before the Fairly Odd Parents did. Remember, this was the first of this set of 4 specials that Hanna-Barbera created in the 80s. And while this is in hindsight, given how the new neighbors were incorporated into most of the following specials, this is what I meant when I said it looks like HB was trying to revitalize the franchise with even more fantastical characters. Because, you know, the last time they tried that, it worked so well. I can't help but compare it to one of the only other Flintstones productions to be made since Warner bought up everything. The direct-to-video movie Stone Age SmackDown. That one, of course, had a lot of new characters as well. All Stone Age versions of WWE stars, but they were all one-shots for that particular special, and they still all revolved around a plot where Fred was the central character. This thing, like too many other TV shows that introduced new characters late in the run, seem like they fully intend to make the show all about the new characters, which never works out in the end. And that just makes it sadder because of, well, where the show goes from here. Fred starts doing a lot of pretty cruel things in order to turn the neighborhood off to the Frankenstones. And yeah, there definitely is some unfortunate comparison to real-life incidents involving integrations and people of different races moving into predominantly white neighborhoods and the like.
We were talking about the Frankenstones.
And I said I like them.
And I don't.
And that's what kind of turns off everything, because Fred Flintstone is not Archie Bunker. He's Ralph Cramden. Granted, it's been a while since I regularly watched the Flintstones, but my recollection is that while he could be a curmudgeon, he was still a people person. You had to actually do something to get on his bad side, whether you meant to or not, but the Frankenstones here don't get the chance. What's more, Fred's whole reluctance to accept the Frankenstones is then quickly used to drive a wedge between him and Barney that then takes over the plot. So now it looks like the Frankenstones are just being used as plot devices themselves. So of course we have to have some disaster that will finally bring everyone together. And that comes at the holiday picnic when, while Fred is looking to throw down with Barney and Frank Frankenstone, Pebbles goes off a cliff and gets thrown into a pterodactyl nest. Yep, nothing like negligent parenting to be the solution. Frank has an idea to help her, and to his credit, Fred doesn't think twice or question him. It's actually a creative plan, as Frank helps Fred get to the top of the nest, while Barney lures Mommy Pterodactyl away by swiping one of her eggs. And then they all get the frack out of there together. So back home in Bedrock, Fred apologizes to the Frankenstones, and after Mommy Pterodactyl nearly smashes their house because Barney stupidly took the egg back with him, it looks like everyone is going to live happily ever after together. Or they would, except for the fact that there were only 3 more episodes of this miniseries, and we would never see the Frankenstones again. I think I get what they were trying to do with this story, but it doesn't really work, because being made to accept new characters out of the blue in fiction isn't the same as needing to accept new people in real life. It's kind of a no-win situation by trying something like this. Because if these characters were only one-shots, it defeats the purpose of them being accepted. But by keeping them around, it makes the audience think that the original characters they've known for years are being cast aside. This is why adding the Jeffersons to All in the Family in the show's first season worked. by establishing they would be regular supporting characters for the show's full run, and that the relationship between George and Archie would be a regular occurrence. And it's what helped the characters become popular enough to get their own show. To steal a wrestling term, the Jeffersons got over organically. To put in whole new characters this deep into the Flintstones franchise, let alone characters this distant from the sitcom style the Flintstones was known for, yeah, it just wasn't going to work. And there's a reason these cartoons have more or less been buried since. And amazingly, this wasn't the first or even the second attempt to put these type of characters or something like them into the show. Oh yes, everyone. Next time, be prepared to bring the steaks and holy water.